Hello everyone, Phoenix Feather here, and welcome back to another Let's Play Let's Talk video where we talk about some serious topics and play some farming simulator. Right now we're chopping up some corn, but let's get right into it. And today's video is going to be about parenting. Parenting. Say it right. Anyway. Parents being parents, there you go. Or parents being a lack of parents. I don't know how to put that. Anyway, it is super obvious that the lack of parenting in today's society is really what's causing the downfall in today's society. Let me put it out, the mother of the year goes to that woman. You know, I forget what riot was it, Baltimore riots? I don't remember, where she found her son amongst the rioters and she beat the crap out of him right then and there in front of everybody and in front of cameras. That's mother of the year. Okay, she did not care. She doesn't trying to be her kid's friend. She wanted to be a mother and taught her kid better than that. And when she saw he stepped out of line, she let him know he was out of line. And, you know, when he was doing some of the dumb crap he was doing, he deserved that punishment. But all means, I'm not, like, advocating child abuse here, okay? There is a fine line between punishment and abuse, and you gotta learn how to walk that line. You know, there's certain things that are not acceptable, but spanking your kid on the rear end every now and then to let them know what they're doing is wrong is okay, by all means. You know, when I was a kid, I got the belt, okay? The belt. By today's, you know, in today's world, that would be illegal. You know, my parents could be facing child abuse charges. But guess what? I turned out fine. You know, I'm not like some crazy psychopath. You know, I'm not like out there, you know, destroying stuff because I don't get my way. You know, that's not what it is. But today, you know, some of it is, I will give a little bit of leeway. Some of it has to do with, you know, like laws being put in place, such in Delaware, it's now illegal to spank your child. Stuff like that. You know, you can't do what our parents did. You can't go that far. But can you imagine how much better the world would be if they could? I mean, seriously. You look at most of the people our age, we're well-balanced human beings. And it's because we got our butts tore up. We got spankings. We got hit with belts. That's true fact, okay? What you see doing all this dumb crap, like protesting stupid stuff and all this, is kids that grew up where their parents were their best friends. Their parents didn't teach them right from wrong, and it's sad. You wanna see you know, a case of bad parenting. There you go. I guess I can't talk now. I'm gonna have to keep saying that every time. But you want to see a bad case of parenting? Just go to your local Walmart. You'll always find some sort of bad parent in Walmart. I guarantee it. You will not make it to that store without seeing one, unless you're like there at midnight. Which, see it, you know, if you're in Walmart after midnight and you see a person in there with their kids, there's your example right there. Their kids should be in bed. There are, you know, certain cases where, you know, it's unavoidable, but, you know, for the most part, if your kid's in Walmart with you at midnight, you're doing something wrong. Anyway, now that I've pissed somebody off, it's really, I mean, like, we went into Walmart recently, and there was a little girl, and like as I'm shopping, she decides to just hang all over my cart and everything. And I'm just like, hello, or, I'd like to continue on my shopping. Would you mind telling your kid to get off my cart, please? And the mom saw the whole thing and just sat there and did nothing. It's like, you're letting your kid crawl over some stranger's cart, and you see nothing wrong here. Okay, well, we know where your kid's gonna be at when something happens in Delaware. It's that sad, and it doesn't stop there. Like, I've walked in and saw, like in the toy section, some kid rip open a package for some toy and take it out and start playing with it. The parent saw the whole thing happen and didn't say a word. My kid would have been getting their butt tore up. My kid would be forced to go up and pay for that toy. No. He leaves the package on the ground and walks away with the toy. Parent says nothing. It's like, wow. So that way, when that kid turns, 16, and decides, he goes into Walmart and wants that game, he busts open the case and takes the game out and just walks out. And then when security tackles him, they're gonna be crying, that, it was racial profiling, or he didn't know he couldn't do that. That's not an excuse by any means. So yeah, it's really just super sad to see what the society's come to for the lack of parenting. There you go. Like the whole case with the Cincinnati Zoo and the gorilla. I'm sorry to bring this up. Rest in peace, Harambe. You were my homie. But like seriously, what were these parents? What was so fascinating that they couldn't pay attention to their kid, and they allowed their kid to fall in the gorilla bed? Like, what were you doing? Do I have withering turned off? Sorry. Yes. What were you doing that was more important than paying attention to your kid? That blows my mind. Absolutely blows my mind. They're probably on their phones. You can see it wherever you go. You walk into a store, kids are like crawling on the shelves and ripping open toys and destroying stuff. And what are the parents doing? They're sitting on their phone. Go into like the Chick-fil-A has a play place. You go in there and you see kids like freaking UFC in there. In them play places, beating the living crap out of each other. What's the parents doing? Sitting at the table on their phone, not paying any attention to someone could walk in, snatch that kid up, and walk right outside, and the parent would never know. Parent would never know. And then they'd be the first crying, "Oh, someone took my kid." It's well, if you were paying attention to your kid, that kid wouldn't have been taken. That's the thing that gets me. All these kids that get kidnapped. Well, sometimes there are certain situations where a kid gets kidnapped that is uncontrollable by the parents, but most of them are just the lack of attention to their kids. They don't pay attention. They're not paying attention to what their kids are doing. Me, when my kid, gets on, the bus, I watch out the window, make sure she gets on the bus, and no one, rolls up, throws her in the car, and drives off. My kid knows better. My kid knows better if some stranger pulls up next to him, just ignore him. I don't. When we're in the store, I might take my eye off my kid for 2 seconds to get something off the shelf, but my wife's right there. I don't shop with my kids alone because I don't like taking my attention off them kids, because I don't trust today's world. There are some sick people out there. Like, some people are just too damn trusting. Like when I worked at Walmart. If you're part of the safety team, the loss prevention guys tell you, if you see a woman walk away from her purse, go up to say something to her. You know, they ask you to talk to the woman and let her know, you know, don't step away from your purse because, you know, it very well could be taken. That was one thing we were trained to do. And it's shocking how much often you actually see that happen. A woman will just leave her purse wide open and walk to the other side of the aisle to look at something. Meanwhile, her purse is just there out in the open. You know, it's sad how trusting people are. I would never trust my kids with strangers. The only people I trust my kids with when I'm not around is my parent, or well, my dad and his girlfriend. Them are the only people I trust, you know, to take care of my kids. I would never hand them off to anyone that I didn't see. I didn't know that I see it all the time where parents will just drop their friends, you know, their kids off at a friend's house or something, or hire some random babysitter off the street. I would never do that. I really would never do that unless, you know, circumstances came to the point where, you know, I had to have a babysitter of some sort to go to work or something. Even then, I would enroll them into like a daycare. I wouldn't trust some strange babysitter off the street. You know, that's not who I am. But, you know, the lack of a parent in these days, you know, and sometimes it's hard. Like my dad, he was very rarely able to be around because he worked all the time, and understand there are parents that do have to work to support their kids. But, you know, when they're home, they still give the kids their full attention. Other people don't. They just don't. They let their kids, you know, run rampant and don't say a thing. It's really gotten to the point where parents are more trying, you know, not saying all parents. Please don't take it as I'm saying all parents, because there are a lot of decent parents out there that will do everything they can for their kids, but also when it comes time to be judge and jury, they will lay down the law. But parents are really trying to be friends with their kids instead of being parents. I mean, it's blatantly obvious, especially when like girls get in their teenage years. Mothers turn to like, oh, you know, I want to be her best friend. I want us to go do stuff together. Blah blah blah. You know, not when certain things get brought up to say, hey, no, cut it out. You know, they don't do that. It's really sad. I will never get to that point with my kids. My kids may hate my stinking guts, but guess what? When they're my age, they're going to respect their elders. They're going to respect other people's property, and they're not going to be running rampant like you see these other kids are. You know, it just won't be the case. Matter of fact, when we go out in public, you know, like we went to Roadhouse a couple months ago, and my kids, you know, they were sat there at the table. You know, before dinner came, they were coloring everything. When the dinner came out, they immediately stopped. They started eating their food. You know, they chit-chatted and everything. And this woman come up to us. She's like, "Your kids are so delightful. They're so polite. They're so nice, so quiet. It's shocking." I was like, "That's how kids are supposed to be." You know, I shouldn't be complimented for, you know, my kids being good when they're doing what they're supposed to. You know. It's just, you see all these other kids, they're screaming and yelling and throwing things at the dinner table, and you know, you can't have a conversation because these kids are going crazy. Why does no one ever walk up to them like, your kid's out of control, you need to learn to reprimand them? You know, why do you ever see that? You always see, oh, you're such good parents because your kids are well behaved when they're just doing what they're supposed to. Why? I don't know. It's really sad that it's come to that point in society where kids, you know, kids acting foolish has become the new norm, and kids that are actually good are seen as extraordinary. Wow, I don't know. But No matter where you stand. And I'm not saying that you have to spank your kids to be a good parent. You just have to let them know who's boss. You have to let them know that you make the rules, and they have to follow said rules. You're gonna let them know that, or else your kid is gonna be the kid that, you know, is locked up at 16 because he stole a car. Your kid's gonna be the kid that, you know, you get the call from Walmart security because they decide to steal a BB gun, or a video game, or a movie, or clothes, so on and so forth. You know, your kid's gonna be the kid that breaks into somebody's house. Your kid's gonna be the kid that punches some kid out on the playground. If you don't learn how to be a parent and parent your kids correctly. Everybody wants to put the blame on everything else. Violent video games, violent movies, friends, drugs, which, you know, again, if you're a parent, your kids aren't, that stuff's not accessible. You know, my kids, you know, my oldest one will be turning, my oldest one's getting old. But yeah, she doesn't have access to games like Grand Theft Auto. She doesn't watch movies and TV shows that have a lot of language. Even our youngest one, we don't really watch Supernatural around her because there is some violence in it, so on and so forth. You know, we don't. Our kids aren't. That's not accessible to our kids. So, that can never be used as an excuse, but a lot of other people use that as an excuse. Like, I seen a kid that come in and he wanted Grand Theft Auto, and I said, I can't sell it to you. You have to be at least 18 to buy it. And he threw a temper tantrum, and he went and got his mom, and his mom threw a fit because she had to walk back and show her ID. And still, the kid tried to give me the money for it. I was like, I can't do that. You have to give me the money. Talking to the mother, and she threw a temper tantrum. It was like, excuse me, I'm doing my job, okay? By law, I cannot sell this game to your child. He is too young to have the game. And, by law, despite what I believe, your kid shouldn't have that game. And of course, she threw a fit and reported me to my manager. My manager's like, hey, you're doing your job. You should be more friendly to the customer. I was like, excuse me? All I said is, by law, I cannot sell the game to your child because he's too young. How is that me not being friendly? I'm just telling her anyway, it's really sad to see that. It's really sad. My kid would never have permission to buy a game like that in the first place, but let alone, throw a temper tantrum when someone is doing his job. Ridiculous. But anyway, if you have kids, love your kids, appreciate them, take in every last moment, because when they get older, they turn into real buttholes, okay? Real buttholes. But, enjoy every last moment, cherish the little moments and all this. But when it comes to punishing your child, make sure you do it. Make sure you tell them who is boss. Make sure you let them know that that's you and your rules will be, followed. Because if not, your kid's going to end up probably behind bars somewhere. Sad but true. But anyway, that's going to do it. Be sure to leave a like down below. If you guys want to see more Let's Play, Let's Talk, be sure to click subscribe. As always, thanks for watching. Bye-bye.